Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Workers' Mic, powered by the MCL, right here on 720 WGN. I'm Ed Maher with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150. Joining me today, we've got Phil Davidson from the Midwest Carpenters Union. Good morning, Phil.
Hey, good morning, Ed. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty well. Glad to have you in the studio today. Ken couldn't make it in today. Do you have any ideas on where's Ken for this week?
Ooh, I'm gonna say it's fall. He's apple picking.
He's probably apple picking. Or doing one of those pumpkin cannons.
Yeah, as we all know, he is an outdoorsman.
You've got young kids, right?
I do.
Have you taken them out for the pumpkin cannons and all that stuff?
Not yet, but we're planning on going next week.
Yeah, I think we're going next week too, and it's with 3 kids and 2 adults. It's like a $500 day, you know.
Yeah, no, we talked about that. We're going out to the hinterlands to go find an affordable pumpkin patch because, yeah, I mean, if you go anywhere near Metro Chicago, you're right. It's like $25 to get in, and then another wristband you got to buy to go on a ride. It's like you can easily spend $150 there.
Yeah, I'm getting to a place in my life where on the way home, I think we're just going to stop at Jewel and buy a bag of apples for $5.
Yeah, there is that. The more what's that Metro apple picking? Yeah, Cosmopolitan apple picking.
Yeah.
No.
Well, people like the process, but you can do the process and then just put the bag down on the ground and get in the car, go to Jewel.
There you go. Are you a Honeycrisp man?
Yeah. I mean, if every other apple wasn't around anymore, I would just live on Honeycrisp. I don't know anybody who feels different unless you're a baker. No. What about you?
That's a softball question. Yeah, I don't understand why they even make other apples. It's like Honeycrisp or die, you know?
When I was a kid, Golden Delicious was where it was at.
Yeah,
and, now it's like it doesn't seem right anymore.
No, doesn't hit as well.
A couple of years ago, there was a new apple coming, and you kept reading about it. Like, next year, this apple's coming, get ready for it. And I think it was called the Cosmic Crisp.
Yeah.
I tried it. I wasn't very impressed.
Those apple scientists, they're
I don't know.
They're out of control.
They've got to really step it up. They're drinking decaf down in the Apple lab. Well, it was a big week around Chicago. There is a ton to talk about nationally with labor stuff, but I wanted to start by throwing a tip of the hat to one of Chicago's most favorite working people, and that is Tom Skilling.
Icon.
He is an icon.
A true Chicago icon.
Yeah, he what was it? 45 years.
45 years.
He's been a weatherman.
Probably the most famous weatherman in the country, bar none.
And I would argue the most accurate.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you really want to know what the weather's going to be like, you check Tom Skilling. You don't waste time with AccuWeather, or nothing against AccuWeather, but Tom Skilling was the guy. He always had it right. I actually have a cousin who is a meteorologist, and she interned for Tom Skilling, and I asked her, is he the best? And she's like, yeah, he's amazing. It's like working for a wizard.
Yeah, he's a legend. We will certainly miss Tom. I mean, maybe the most famous Chicagoan at this point in time, and the one. Actually, I'll say this: the most agreeable Chicagoan. There's not anyone who dislikes Tom Skilling, no matter what your side of the fence you on politically.
Right?
Everyone likes Tom.
That's a good point. I don't think I've ever met anybody that didn't like Tom Skilling.
Yeah, I don't want to know you if you don't like Tom Skilling.
It would be. I'd be interested to know why. Like, what happened to you? Where one day I went to work.
They were struck by lightning.
I had an important interview, and I didn't wear a jacket, and it drizzled, and I didn't get the job, and it's your fault, Tom.
Took it out on Tom for all these years. Yeah.
No, bon voyage, Tom. You're the man. We love you.
Godspeed. Those are some giant shoes to fill.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we also welcomed a new union member in the city of Chicago, and that's Connor Bedard with the Blackhawks. NHL Players Association.
Players Association member.
Yeah, I mean, he's #1 pick. I can't think of a person since like Patrick Kane who's gotten this level of hype around Chicago. In the first couple games, he looks. I mean, I'm not a hockey expert. I watch it mostly during the playoffs, but he looks good, and it was cool to see in the first game he did that opening face-off with Crosby from Philadelphia, and it's like a guy that he grew up watching.
Yeah.
There's this 17-year-old kid, facing off against him. It's got to be intimidating, but he looked like he belonged there.
I know. When you see a picture of him on the bench, it's like, wow, that guy's actually a professional hockey player. Because he wouldn't even be graduating high school yet, I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Which is incredible. But yeah, that's very cool for the city of Chicago to have that draw in, especially all the bars and restaurants around the United Center. I mean, honestly, like a player of that caliber can really change the fortunes of the surrounding businesses and get people back in.
That's for sure.
I mean, he's got a major, massive economic impact, so that's great.
Yeah, hopefully
best
they can build around it, because the Blackhawks keep saying this is this is the start of a rebuild. He's the first piece of it.
Yeah.
And he is
the second coming.
Incredibly young. I think about it. When I was 17, my parents wouldn't even let me drink coffee.
No.
And he's playing. He's the number 1 pick, most famous, young athlete in Chicago. I heard that
World is his oyster.
Taylor Swift is just waiting for him to turn 18.
Yeah, we know what she's up to.
Yeah, I mean, she's running low on material.
Yeah.
She's got the movie coming out. She needs to start planning for, Eras Tour 2, because every movie needs a good sequel.
That's right. Especially when the Chiefs get spanked by the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Kelsey will be yesterday's news, so yeah, we're moving on.
That's a bold prediction.
Oh, yeah.
Anti-Chiefs guy?
You heard it here first.
Okay, well, write it down.
No, I do love the Chiefs. The Chiefs are in my union's jurisdictional area, so go Chiefs, but 49ers are pretty damn good.
Well, there have been people asking why Connor Bedard wears the full cage mask on his helmet, and I think the reason is he's trying to keep that face pretty for, Taylor a couple years down the road, and that's a smart move.
Yeah, very savvy.
Yeah, well,
wise beyond his years.
Yeah, keep it clean out there, Connor. We love you too.
Yeah.
So in
good union member too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pro union guy.
In labor news this week, one of the biggest things was that kind of caught me by surprise was the suspension of talks with the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA with the motion picture studios and television studios.
They're at loggerheads.
Yeah, writers had settled a couple of weeks ago, and I had certainly thought that would be the start of a process where, the contracts would be settled and the industry would get back up and running. But, apparently these talks haven't been productive, so the studios suspended them and shut them down. And the way that I figured that out was I got a text from Claire, my better half, who told me about it. And I was like, wow, she's following this. Like, she's into it. This is great. And it was immediately followed with a text about how there weren't going to be any new Netflix Christmas movies this year. So that was the problem.
Now it hits home. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting some hostility on the home front.
Yeah.
You can watch all of last year's Netflix. And I suggested watching some Hallmark Christmas movies, and that wasn't happening. Apparently that's not okay. But the Netflix Christmas movies apparently are still just wonderful.
No Netflix, no Lifetime, no Hallmark. This is going to be...
Yeah. Well, I told her
a rough go for our loved ones.
You can just watch TV with me, which is mostly just old World War II documentaries, and stuff like that. I saw something on Instagram like a week ago that said when a guy turns 35, he goes one of two directions: he learns to smoke meats, or he gets really into World War II history. And I think it's true. I'm way into World War II history, and I have no idea how to smoke meats.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. I think just war history in general. The older you get, to stop at World War II, get into World War I, get into Vietnam. I mean, you can watch literally 40 hours of documentary coverage about every war with Ken Burns. So
I like Ken Burns.
Yeah, Ken Burns does a good job.
Yeah, I actually just finished a book. One thing with the TV strike, or the actors' strike, is the suggestions that I'm getting on streaming services are like the stuff that's coming out soon. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best that the Czech Republic has come up with. Like, they're just dubbing it in English, and that's everything. So I've just been reading a lot more and listening to a lot more Audible, which is nice. But winter's coming, as they say.
Winter is coming. Yeah, no, that's a good point, man. I gotta prepare my wife. There's not gonna be a lot of Christmas fare over the next coming months.
Yeah, I struggled through a few of those last year, and it was not easy.
Yeah. I guess we should tell our male listeners, be extra sensitive and around your spouses and your loved ones, because that's going to be a rough time for them, and they're going to need your support. You're
going to have to help introduce some of that Christmas cheer, because there's not going to be any made-for-TV movies to do it for you.
Maybe do a home movie.
A home movie?
Yeah.
What kind of home movie?
A Christmas home movie.
That's what I had in mind, too, with like Santa Claus hat and stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Home movies. People don't really do that.
No,
now you have a camera with you all the time.
Yeah.
And people don't do the home movies where, I don't know. Or you just take 1,000 films on your phone and you never show them to anybody.
Yeah, let's bring back home movies.
Home movies.
Yeah.
Wow, I like this.
G-rated home movies.
What other kind of home movies is there?
I don't know.
Phil?
I saw that twinkle in your eye for a second.
Get your mind
there.
out of the gutter, would you? Come on, man. This is a family, family show.
We have more production capabilities at our fingertips than any other time in history, and no one makes home movies anymore. You know, back 30 years ago, you had to get the Super 8 out and actually cut the film, and and they were popular. Everyone had home movies.
You pulled the little drape down on the wall and set up the projector.
Exactly.
I remember that. I think my mom used to set up movies on the wall just so she could turn the lights out and drink wine while we watched movies on the. It was like, turn the lights out now, watch the movies, kids.
Yeah, it was a little bit of
mom vacation for half an hour.
Yeah, it was a little mom me time, but we'll put it on our YouTube page if anyone's got a home movie they want to send us. Yeah,
within reason, folks. Within reason. All right, so I wanted to talk about a story that was in the New York Times this week by Noam Scheiber. It was a great story, and I think it plays into a lot of what we're going to talk about on the show today. And the title of this was "Are Employers Miscalculating?" And essentially, what he's asking is, with the amount of strikes that are going on here that don't seem to be going terribly well, they're going longer than expected. And employers are not getting the results they want. With a lot of these striking workers getting more than anyone had expected. His question is, employers have used the same playbook. Go in, get some concessions and make the wage increases as small as possible, and that's the playbook. And now that playbook isn't working, they what are they doing? What's the pivot? And I think the answer to the question is they're not pivoting very well. And one thing that one of the quotes from this article that I thought was particularly informative was, in example after example, executives appear to have been taken aback by unions' new, more assertive leaders and their success at rallying members and the public, as well as the ineffectiveness of employers' traditional bargaining approach. So I think we're probably seeing some of that. That plays into the entertainment industry, in my opinion, because when that all started, you had the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, and the Screen Actors Guild all preparing to go on strike, right? Yeah. So the writers go out, and the industry immediately makes a deal with the directors. And I think that it was supposed to be pressure to get them to come back. Didn't work. Screen Actors go out, and you have this enormous joint strike with the writers. I think it went on for almost 150 days, and now the negotiations have broken down. The industry has walked away from negotiations. Yeah, is it just to try to starve them out for a little bit longer because their other tactics aren't working? Which was the old playbook. I think so. But it's it really makes you think. And we've got other strikes to report on too between UAW and healthcare workers on the show. But, I just wanted everybody to kind of think about it in this term where for decades it all kind of worked the same way, and workers would say, well, we'll just take the best we can get, and that'll be it. And employers, they were very profitable, very successful in doing this, but we live in a different world, a world where Sean Fain from the UAW is giving speeches with a T-shirt that says "Eat the Rich." Which, and I think that's a big part of it as well is there used to be so much activity happening with strikes, with people going out, union members that wasn't covered, that didn't reach any of the national spotlight, got no attention. And now with social media, with everyone's ability to film and the 24-hour news cycle, it's all out there and people are paying attention. There used to be strikes happening all the time that no one knew about. Right. And then you combine that with the way people feel about their economic lot in today's society, and they're like, wait a second, I am getting screwed over. There's been a serious awakening, I think ever, post-COVID, where people are realizing that, no, I deserve more money and I'm not going to stand for this. And it's capturing the national attention, and there's ways to, shine a light on it and just keep it in the forefront. So I think all those combinations together is what giving the employer side, a hard time right now when it comes to negotiations. Right, and when they're not successful, and then it plants a seed in other workers' minds where, hey, if I really want to get more and they won't give it to me, there's another way. Correct. So, all right, well, we've got a lot to talk about on the show today, so stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Workers Mike right here on 720 WGN. Welcome back, everybody, to the Workers' Mic on 720 WGN. Glad to have you back with us. Before we continue with the show, I wanted to just touch on one announcement, and we're always trying to bring about awareness to good jobs to our listeners. So I wanted to talk again about the apprenticeship openings at the Operating Engineers Local 150. That's the local that I call home, and that's for heavy equipment operators, people who operate heavy construction equipment. These are great jobs, and our apprenticeship program is taking applications for the month of October. So it only comes for about 1 month a year. It's a very busy time, very competitive, but these are great jobs. And if you are interested, or you think someone in your family might be interested, you can learn more by checking out www.local150.org/apply. So check that out. Good opportunities, and get in and put in an application.
Yeah, take advantage for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of apprenticeships, Phil, the Carpenters, your home sweet home, they had some apprenticeship news lately I was reading about.
Yeah. Last Friday was the 50th anniversary of our apprentice graduation dinner. Now, obviously, we've been graduating apprentices for longer than that, but back in the 80s, it was decided, you know what, let's do, or 70s, I'm not very good at math, let's do a dinner, because it's a monumental moment in the apprentice's
That's for sure.
career to graduate from the apprenticeship and become a journeyman, where you're making the top level of the pay scale. And so, yeah, it's a huge moment. So we decided to do this dinner, and because it was a 50th anniversary, we pulled out all the stops. There was 1,000 people at the Westin in Lombard there.
Nice.
For 330 graduating apprentices. We had our international general president, Douglas McCarran, flew in for it, which was very special because he gets invited to a lot of these things. We have 250 training centers throughout the country, so he can't make every single one. So we were very honored to have his presence. Our executive secretary, treasurer, Gary Perinar, gave a rousing speech to all the apprentices.
He's a very good speaker.
He's a good speaker, yeah. And he knows how to turn it on.
Yes, he does.
And congratulate obviously all the apprentices and told them about how to be successful as a journeyman in this union, and all the great things that they have ahead of them, and what to look out for, what to be careful about, and really put them on a path towards success. So it was really cool. We crunched numbers. In 50 years, we've graduated 16,379 apprentices. And yeah, those are great paying jobs, that are family sustaining, providing great benefits, pension, no cost health insurance, all those good things that we always talk about here on the show.
And a skill. It's a skill that lasts you a lifetime.
Yeah, and a skill that lasts you a lifetime. And so, yeah, it's really cool to see. I mean, everyone comes out. It's semi-formal.
Yeah.
They bring their significant others. They bring their parents. We live stream it. They get their name called. They walk up on the stage. It's similar to any graduation ceremony you would see. And to graduate from a certified apprenticeship program in our union, and I think it applies across most unions, is about 6,000 hours of classroom training that you do while you're apprentice. For our union, once a quarter, you come in for a week for the classroom training portion of your apprenticeship, and then you're out in the field where you're making money, so it doesn't cost you anything. So that takes 6,000 hours to graduate, and I think the average number of hours that it takes, and this is computing all the hours that people put in for studying as well for exams, that are required to graduate from a 4-year university, is 5,000. So
I think I put in a lot less than 5,000 hours of work.
I bet you did. So yeah, I mean, it's impressive. It goes above and beyond what people have to do to get a 4-year degree. So that's why it's such a cool moment, and why we really want to commemorate it and celebrate it. So it was very fulfilling, and we had one of our apprentices. I can tell a brief story about her.
Yeah.
Her name's Norma White, and she, we put together a video, and interviewed her to hear her story. She was working in the banking sector. She's originally from Guatemala, came over here at a young age, and she's married, mother of 2, and she was a manager at a bank. And they told her she was looking for her next promotion because she's very competent. She's very good, and they said, we need you to have an advanced degree. And she said, all right, well, I don't have that. I'm going to go see what I can do and try a new career. And she came over to Carpenters, and is killing it. Just graduated, is officially a journey level carpenter. And she's been doing so well with solar work in the field that they've asked her to become a solar instructor for us.
That's very cool.
So yeah, that's just like kind of great stories that you hear of, which decided white collar world wasn't great for her. came over to our side, is doing very well, and now will soon be teaching the next generation of apprentices how to succeed. So
in apprenticeship programs, there really is a place for everybody. So that's a very cool story.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Phil.
Of course.
And we've got to take a quick break, but we'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit about new developments in the UAW strike this week. So tune it back to us. We'll be back in a few minutes, and that's on WGN 720. Welcome back, everybody, to the Workers' Mic on 720 WGN. I'm Ed Maher, sitting here with Phil Davidson. And earlier in the show, we had talked a little bit about a recent New York Times article that asked, it was examining employers' kind of playbook when it comes to strikes and how it's changed in the face of stronger union leaders and stronger union membership and a more supportive public. And this week there was development in the UAW strike that I think was a little bit unexpected by everybody, but it really is, it underscores this dynamic, and that is Sean Fain, the head of the United Auto Workers Union, was negotiating with Ford, and he had presented a proposal. He went in and asked for a counter-proposal. Ford said that they didn't have one, and he stood up, walked out, and said, "This just cost you Kentucky truck." And then they added to the strike about 8,700 manufacturing workers at a truck manufacturing plant in Kentucky. Now, this is the plant that makes Navigators, Expeditions, as well as all the Super Duty F-150s, F-250s. So it's an enormous plant. So, right now they're at a little bit of a standstill. And, the UAW, Phil, has taken this tactic of not calling everybody out of work on day one, but just doing it strategically and as negotiations continue. And, it's like leverage points.
it's like a water torture type
And,
tactic.
a drop, a cut at a time. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out with Ford, because this is one of the largest manufacturing plants. Ford has come out in the last couple of days and said that they're at their limit. They're at their credit limit for what they're able to offer.
Yeah.
But as these things tend to go, as strikes go on, you sometimes the higher ups will extend or increase your credit limit a little bit, or do whatever has to be done to get back to work, because it's a lot of people out of work. It's a lot of trucks that aren't being made. I know some manufacturers, and we've talked about this in the past, are putting management employees on the assembly lines.
Yeah.
And Ken and I joked last week that, there are folks out there who are saying, somebody's got to make these trucks. Put somebody who wants to work out there making trucks. And I just want to make sure that everyone who says that is willing to buy one of these trucks that's made by an accountant or a marketing director or something like that, because, they should put a big red dot on the inside of the door of any vehicle or any product that's made by strike breakers, by management who's brought in not knowing what.
Yeah, there should be some sort of low jack so other drivers on the road can know, like, stay away from that car. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The wheel might just fly off at any time.
Yeah. It is. There has been some positive developments there. Like, at least Ford is acknowledging, like, yes, our people need to be paid more.
Right.
Now, obviously, there's still disagreement on what that number is.
Mm-hmm.
But I was heartening to see that, of like, look, they understand that no, it's very hard to make it on, especially the base salary that they offer their employees.
For sure.
And as we were talking about earlier during the break, it is challenging for some of the automakers when you have companies like Tesla who are just completely undercutting. They're like, Ford's, from what I saw, like their base package, including salary and benefits, is like $70-ish. For Tesla, it was like $45.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's someone who, and obviously it's going to be very hard to organize Tesla employees, considering that their master and their employer is about as anti-union as it gets. But, if the richest man on the planet Earth can't pay his employees a good and decent living wage, that's where we really need to rise up, because it can't just be the unions that are lifting up the middle class. It can't just rest on our backs.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I think, it's well taken, because unions are, and anybody who has been in a union, has been active in a union, will recognize that, you don't really have anything against non-union workers.
No.
Because some people
No.
can't get into a union,
Right.
can't form a union. There is sort of this myth that union people dislike non-union people.
No,
and that couldn't
not
be
at all.
further
No,
from the
it's
truth.
it's the employers that
Right.
you're going after. No, like we always tell our guys, like you don't want to like start anything. And I think a lot of our members are friends with people who might work non-union. We're always trying to encourage them, like, look, man, life is a lot better on this side. You should really consider it.
Yeah,
But
you want a good pay package, good benefits, good retirement, good work conditions for yourself. But at the same time, you want that for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to fight for that for yourself, and you see other people fighting for that, you support that.
Yes.
Because it's important. And a rising tide lifts all boats, as we always say here. There are too many people in America who are struggling to make ends meet. Can't pay a medical bill. Somebody gets sick in the family, and it's a financial economic catastrophe for the family. And that was never a footnote of the American dream.
Yeah.
That's not what this was supposed to be about, where somebody gets sick and your family goes bankrupt. And so fighting for good benefits, fighting so you can retire when your body can't work anymore or shouldn't have to work anymore. That's important. So union people fight for that every day, but we want that movement to spread. So UAW has, I think, one of the things that they've acknowledged and one of the things that they've conceded in these negotiations is that UAW jobs will not be replaced as this new EV electric vehicle technology starts to grow.
Yep.
And I think a lot of those folks who are doing that work, who are working in the battery plants and who will be working in the battery plants that are being built as close as South Bend, Indiana, they were coming in as non-union members,
Yes.
or they were talking about making them UAW, but paying them at a lower scale. And that's a lot of what this strike was if you bring new people in, you can't create a younger workforce that makes half as much, because you're giving yourself like a 10-year phase-in period of creating a workforce that's not going to be able to make ends meet. But as these strikes go, as these movements go, so goes the fight for Tesla workers. Because if UAW goes out and these workers can get significant givebacks, I mean they were willing to give up their defined benefit pension plan back in 2007 when that's when it took to keep the U.S. manufacturers competitive.
Yeah, they make concessions.
Right, so they're looking for some of that back now that these companies are profitable. And there are folks out there like Jim Cramer on CNBC who just wants the world to think that these auto workers are greedy. The reality is they gave something up to keep the companies profitable, and the companies got profitable. And did they give it back?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. And
of course they did.
It's time to pay the piper.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because employers have to be successful for workers to be successful, right?
Of course.
Especially in construction.
Yeah.
You want your company to make money because if they're making money, you're working. But everybody's got to be willing to do the right thing.
And there was record profits at the big three automakers in the last couple of years. I mean, it's not like, they're barely making ends meet over there.
Right. I mean, so that's one of the big sticking points in this strike too is workers like, hey, we want to get back in the defined benefit pension game. How we just gave it up to you to keep the lights on here.
Yeah.
You guys are doing really well, so we'd like a show of good faith for what we did. The company's like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So what does that say to any company or any group of workers that's looking to give concessions temporarily? You've got to take a hard line because whatever you give up, you're never geting back.
Yeah, you're not showing good faith to your employees when you're not. When they made a concession for you, that you're not going to do the opposite for them. Yeah.
Right. So I saw a funny video, and we'll post it on the Facebook page, and it was an interview with Jim Cramer on CNBC, and they were reporting the result of an AP poll about this strike that showed that 9% of Americans are supportive of the automakers in this strike.
Yeah.
And I think it was 70-some% said that it would be a good thing for the UAW members to make more money. And they were giving this news to Jim Cramer, the guy, the Mad Money, I think was his show, and he used to press all the buttons with sound effects and talk about stocks. And he was an old.
Does he still have a show?
I don't think he has that show. I mean, you can only do that nonsense for so long. His shoulders were wearing out from hitting all the sound effects buttons.
Yeah,
but,
a lot of buttons.
Yeah, he was a rolled up sleeve man of the people, giving working people investment advice. But of course, he had already made tens of millions working for Goldman. Back in the day. But he was given the news on this, and he was just so sad. I mean, you've got to look at this video. He's got his head down. He just looks miserable at the fact that the public supports these striking workers. And he said, I had hoped to see a lot of people say, I drive an F-150, and that's a really nice truck, and the company's doing a good job, and these workers are greedy. And he puts his head down. He's like, no, but the workers are winning.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Kramer.
Yeah, so if for no
We
other
should go
reason,
console him.
yeah, Sean Fain, UAW, keep doing what you're doing, keep
Yeah.
fighting the good fight, just so we can see poor old Jim Kramer look sad on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how this is shaping up, and the world is watching UAW. Sean Fain, the president of the UAW. There was a profile on
he
him.
was here recently, right? Was it in Chicago?
He was here.
Local
maybe
551. Yeah.
a week ago.
Yeah.
When some of the workers on the south side of Chicago went out, and I mean, he's a captivating speaker, and he speaks from the heart. There was a profile about him in the New York Times a couple of weeks ago, and basically where he came from. And it was back when they did the give back on the pension stuff back in 2007. The UAW executive board and leadership was like, yes, we have to do this. And he said, no, absolutely not. We can't give anything back because we can't give it away.
We'll never get it
it's
back.
too important. We'll never give it back. And that's been his attitude, is he fights for the workers and doesn't really want to give an inch. And there are probably listeners out there who don't agree with that, but I'll tell you what, you should see the way that these companies' negotiators and these companies' lawyers operate. If somebody gets hurt working in one of these facilities, their lawyers will pay out as little as possible or nothing if they can get away with it. So there's absolutely no reason that workers and their representatives shouldn't take the exact same approach. There's only so far you can give. These the workers have got to get a fair deal. They've got to do it, for a company that still has the ability to be successful. But Ford said, hey, this is all we've got, and I think that we'll find as time goes on that isn't actually the case. So
and we have to hold strong here in the Rust Belt, where majority of the auto workers still live.
Right.
Michigan, Ohio, Indiana are still the epicenter of the automotive industry, and for the economic vitality of the Midwest, we got to get everyone working again. I mean, it could be absolutely drastic and devastating if this continues to go on and on and on, and those people aren't working again, because these are good jobs.
Yeah, I mean, American manufacturing is something that people will stand on the side of the road and wave flags. We've got to bring back American manufacturing. We have to support American manufacturing. And when I think of American manufacturing, I think of good jobs.
Yeah.
You think of Chinese manufacturing or Vietnamese manufacturing, you don't think of the same thing. So
you think child labor.
Yeah, we've got to protect these jobs and make sure they continue to be good jobs, and that the people that are doing them are skilled, and are able to provide for their families.
Yes.
So we've got to take a quick break, but we will be back in just a couple minutes. So stay with us on the Workers' Mic, WGN 720.
Welcome back to the Workers' Mic on 720 WGN, powered by the MCL. I'm Phil Davidson here with Ed Maher. And just during break, we got an update on the Kaiser Permanente strike, Ed.
Right.
What's the latest with that? There was a lot of people who were out.
Yeah, we talked about that on last week's show, and that's Kaiser Permanente is a healthcare group of healthcare workers, nurses, admins, clerks, just a bunch of lab technicians, that type of thing. And about 75,000 workers went out on a 3-day strike last week, and that's a huge number.
And that was where?
It's on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I think most of their employees are based in California, but it's mainly a West Coast network. But 75,000 people went out on strike. So it's healthcare. They made it an abbreviated 3-day strike to really just send a message, also wanting to get back and not create uncertainty for patients who needed them. But it was to make a point, and it was about wage increases, but also about staffing levels.
Yeah.
They were chronically understaffed, as we've seen with so many healthcare workers. I mean, if you have any healthcare workers in your family, or some, I mean, my mom was a nurse, my sister is currently a nurse, and you can't bump into a nurse anywhere without just hearing about how much harder their jobs have gotten, and people are hesitant.
My sister's
to come
a nurse.
into them.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Nurses are special people. I mean, it's not everyone can do what they do. So
no, it's a tough job.
Yeah,
and you definitely want to be in a union.
For sure. I mean, who wants to underpay a nurse? You
No.
know, when you're sick and you don't know what's going on, if you're in an uncertain position, you get a doctor coming in. Doctors don't really know how to talk to people most of the time.
No.
And that's where you rely on nurses and other healthcare workers who have, a good bedside manner. And there have been times in my life where that's been important. And I think we can all agree. So shout out to nurses, and I just wanted to congratulate them because that strike resulted in a win for them this week. They haven't released the numbers on what was given back to them, but the company made an offer. They went back and forth a little bit, and the Kaiser Permanente employees accepted it, so they're going back to work, and I think that's good news for everybody.
And they were out for how long?
They did a 3-day strike.
Wow.
So they said that there would be additional strikes, but with healthcare, it's difficult. You can't just shut down a hospital.
No.
And they recognize that, but they also had some important needs that weren't being met, so it seems like this one worked out pretty well. They got what they were looking for. Still waiting to see the details on what that was, but we'll report on that on another show. But congrats to the Kaiser Permanente.
Yeah, 75,000. That's big.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this year there have been an outrageous amount of workers going out on strike.
Yeah.
And throw another 75,000 on top of it. That number is getting huge this year. But, as we've said on the workers, Mike, for 10 months now, 2023 is the year of the worker, and it has proven to be that kind of more than I thought it would be, more than anybody ever thought it would
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I don't think labor unions were on a lot of people's radars prior to this year. I think, the pandemic changed everything.
For sure.
I think people heard of it. A lot of people had the misconceptions about unions. Oh, yeah, you got to know someone. It's like, no. Now they realize, like, oh, no, what we do helps the middle class, and there's no there's no two ways around it. It's like that's what we're here to do. We're here to protect middle class jobs. We're here to protect a U.S. domestic economy and manufacturing sector, and making sure that people can take care of themselves and their families. And it's incredible.
And make sure employers play by the rules.
Yes.
So a company that actually I read about today that hasn't been playing by the rules. And it, I'm waiting for some blowback on this around my house, is Crumble Cookies. Crumble Cookies.
Yeah, quite popular.
Yeah. Oh, they're very popular. They're popping up everywhere, and more often than they should be popping up in my kitchen. But Crumble Cookies has been violating child labor. They've got kids who are 14 years old working 60 hours a week. And
where?
There were 6 states. Illinois was not one of them.
Okay.
So that's gonna, that's
way
gonna
to
be
go,
part of the
Illinois.
Yeah, for sure. But across 6 states, I think there were 50 stores that were impacted where they had.
Are these like where they make the cookies, or they're actual retail shops?
No, it's the places where they make the cookies and they sell the cookies.
Okay, at one location.
Yeah, so you walk in there, you make
and
your
they
order.
have kids working there.
I mean, most of the time that I've gone in there, which is more often than I care to admit, frankly, it's usually like teenagers, and it seems like a job for high schoolers who, know how to throw a ball of dough on a tray and put it in the oven, and which I'm not minimizing it because the results are magnificent, and I shouldn't really be saying that because they are violating child labor laws. But
you might need to start boycotting.
Yeah, we're gonna slow pace that one. At least they're not doing it in Illinois. My local Crumble Cookies doesn't have any child labor violations.
Who's our union cookie baker?
What's that? I mean, I don't know. They used to have problems with Mondelez back in the day, but like the bakers and confection workers union, Nabisco, I think, is
their union, right?
I think so. Yeah. It was one of the biggest employers for the bakery union, which was pretty powerful.
You might have to go back to Chips Ahoy, man.
If that's what's got to happen, that's what's got to happen.
You'll sacrifice. You'll make these sacrifices.
I'm not going to cry about Chips Ahoy. It got me through a lot of hard times in my childhood. So
Chips Ahoy are solid.
Yeah,
but trusty.
Keep your eyes on Crumble Cookie. Speaking of Chips Ahoy, are you a Chips Ahoy guy, or do you do Chewy Chips Ahoy, the red package?
Oh, I like the original.
All right.
Yeah, something about those chewy ones. I don't know. It doesn't seem a little too processed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly processed. I don't think Chips Ahoys are not processed.
No, those are all organic. That's all.
Is that the one the elf's making the tree?
Exactly.
Remember those guys?
Yeah.
Those guys, they seem like they're living their best life in that tree.
Yeah.
The EL Fudge guys, right?
But I just don't know if I trust a cookie that can still say soft and chewy for weeks on end in the package.
You're asking too many questions. Too many questions. Yeah, don't think about it so much.
Okay.
Just enjoy it.
Sorry, but hey,
that's a fair point, though.
Good to be union, and Crumble Cookies. I've actually never had one. I know everyone talks about them, but that's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, working these high schoolers to the bone.
Yeah.
So these kids have to study. They're the next generation. We've got to get them prepared so they can get into our apprenticeship
So
programs.
there's a DOL investigation against them?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. In 46 locations.
Someone dropped a dime on crumble cookies, huh?
Some kid was falling asleep in class, and
Yeah.
the teacher decided to dig a little deeper. So that's what happened. We love you, teachers.
It was probably Chips Ahoy.
Yeah. So we're running a little bit low on time for the rest of this episode. But one thing that I wanted to make note of before we go is, and this is to our union brothers and sisters out there who are members of Midwest Coalition of Labor Unions, operators, carpenters, electricians. There are, I think, almost 400 local unions that are part of the MCL now. This is open enrollment time for life insurance. You can get up to $350,000 in life insurance for way less than you're probably paying your insurance agent currently.
No tests?
No questions,
No
no
questions.
tests
I mean,
for a construction worker.
That's
a
unheard
huge
of.
deal.
That's unheard of.
So check it out. You can go to coalitionoflabor.org to find out more, or call your union. And that's about all we've got this week. Phil, you've been magnificent as always.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So everybody have a great week, and thanks for tuning in with us this week. We'll see you again next Sunday right here on 720 WGN.